That's
No one knows this, but Tuck had an art store.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Were they
Gallery.
art gallery? Were they originals?
They were all originals, all artists that came from New York, Guggenheim, all over. Yeah.
Really? You had that at gallery?
Yeah. 1967, 8.
And you two came from the same town?
Yeah, we came from our parents went to different schools together.
They were on the track team
We
together.
ran track together.
Yeah, I beat them.
He couldn't beat anything.
I beat them up.
Yeah, okay. That's when he started taking up karate then, huh? Day after you met Nick?
Oh no, they were ruffians. I didn't hang out with them.
No, he was a really gentle guy in high school.
Yeah.
And I was
What happened?
I got wise.
Yeah.
Thinking without your hat.
Oh, cool. What's your name?
Jake.
Cool.
I can't figure out why it's not working.
Well, I'd like to show you sort of a retrospective of all my artwork from the time I really started doing some serious work in college to present day. And the work that you see here around this major piece was done when I was in high school and college, and I was influenced by a lot of artists from the Ashcan school, artists like Prendergast and Sloan, and they did the back streets of New York City. And so on this piece right here, you can see it's sort of like the Ashcan school. They painted clotheslines hanging and children playing in the alleys. And that's, again, another piece from the Ashcan era. And then I moved on to college and studied with Ian James at Lycoming College and John Menahan in Rochester. And they sort of excited me for exploring new ways to use media, and were really good mentors because they encouraged me to keep going in art. That piece up there was done when I went to Colorado and was working on a master's degree, and it was my rendition of the Colorado Cowboys. It's done with S&H green stamps, so it's kind of a little collage. The one on the right is a silk screen that I did at Michigan State. I sort of linked my academic career with my art. I always felt that art kept me going, and academics was really the challenge for me. I did some of these pieces. This piece right here I did in Berkeley. It has some paper on it. It's of my house in Berkeley, when I lived in Berkeley. And I taught at Berkeley. Again, I was doing my academic career, and I thought I needed to be an academician, but I think in reality I'm an artist and part-time academician. So this piece was done in Colorado. It's a transitional piece. I think that from this piece I really got excited with expressing things in an abstract way, expressing my feelings and ideas and in color and so forth. And this piece is really of the Colorado mountains. It's of Crested Butte, around Crested Butte. One of the people that I was excited about, and I was trying to experiment in different techniques and so forth, was Ben Shawn. And Ben Shawn would take a piece of stick and sharpen it and dip it in ink and do some drawings. And so I did this drawing, and I ended up finding out that it was a self-portrait. The cowboys with the S&H green stamps was done in the same way. So what I was doing is I was trying to find artists that I really got excited about and trying to not copy their work, but use their techniques. And so the stick painting, this stick drawing here with watercolor was one of those techniques. Well, here are some of my latest works. These pieces result from having an art studio that I built in Scottsdale, Arizona in 1990. And so I could really put a lot of my work out and come back to it and experiment with it and explode with it and really get an enjoyment of art. I use a lot of acrylic. This is one of those pieces. Here's a piece that represents, the southwestern influence of Scottsdale, Arizona. It's sort of Indian-like. It has pastel on it, on Indian ink. And I like it. I like that direction. This hung for about a year in my studio before I realized that I needed to balance these little circles with some on this side. And so how long did it take to do? Well, 20 minutes or a year, right?
Cool.
Here's a piece that's done black on white. And I kind of like the movement in here. And then you can see in this piece, I got a little more complex. I think I saw the movie Pollock after, and I did this piece. But the techniques I used here were resist. I used, it was rubber cement resist, where you put the rubber cement on, you do your work, or some of your work, and then you rub off the rubber cement and the white comes through. And then you go back into the painting or piece of art. And then this one is just 3 lines. I call it 3 lines. And I kind of like the stark nakedness of these 3 lines and the movement and the action. This piece was done in the 80s, and it's sort of a transitional piece, like the other one that I pointed out. It's of the mountains, and it's sort of like a calligraphy approach to the mountains. You can see mountains in the background, and it's really abstract. But it is of the mountains, I guess. If you think it's of the mountains.
I'm very impressed. Just keep on going. You're doing excellent.
When I was doing black on white, I thought that at least in this piece, there needed some color. So what I did was put some tissue paper on this and introduce color to the black on white to give it some dimension. And it also allows different shades of color to reflect on the background. And this is again a rubber cement painting, after my view of Pollock. I really like Pollock's work. I think that his art, along with Prendergast and Clay and a lot of those other artists, really come alive and are very vibrant.
And it's
Again, here's another piece that just represents motion for me in color and patterns that come alive for me. And this piece, the way I finished it, I just threw some paint around, just like Pollock would do. But again, I'm not a Pollock, right? Okay.
I think he's kind of a Pollock, isn't he?
What? Here's some combination of India ink, pastel, magic marker, and a technique that I was practicing with called writing in, or going back into your piece with white paint. I forget the artist who perfected that, but I use it every so often. And these things come back to me, you know, all of the different techniques and styles. Here are some, Mike, that I really like. These three pieces really, I think, represent the direction I'm going. I think that they culminated in what excites me in art, the patterns that excite me. I like red, I like a lot of the different lines, the way I do them, and I use rollers, and I use different type rollers, big ones and small ones, and I throw paint on them, and somehow they come out really quite excitedly. And they look nice.
They do. I like that one and that one.
Yeah. They are done at the same time. This large one over here, which I call Colorado, because it reminds me of Colorado, of the mountains.
There's even more in the lens.
And the movement of water and snow.
There's even more so.
What's that?
It's even more so in there.
Oh yeah, looks cool. Mike, I generate a lot of art simultaneously, and they may hang on tables for days, and I go back into them, and these are some of the pieces that I've done lately. Call this Red Mountain, Red Night. This is called Gray Surge. This is Untitled. I think my art is programmed art. It's not, well, excuse me, take that back.
Got a Roman soldier looking out his mask there.
Yeah, that's what it is, right. I don't think my art is programmed art. Right now, it's really more absolute and abstract. I don't see images, I see patterns, and I see color. My earlier work, as you can tell, had a lot to do with painting objects or city scenes or things like that. And when I went to art school, I remember everyone having to draw or paint flowers or vases or some sort of a scene that was set in front of them. And I asked the instructor if I could climb up into the attic and paint the wooden beams. And he let me, and I think that was really important, that he let me explore. And you know, there's an interesting thing that's happening in the art world today is that there's almost a reversal and an understanding that you don't have to paint realistically or draw realistically before you can create something abstract. It used to be that you had to go through a very specific regimen of line drawings and figure drawings, and before you had the permission to go abstract. Well, now, and I have a couple students in Scottsdale that really reflect this. I say, here's a piece of paper, explore the paper, explore this color on the paper, and they have come up with some wonderful abstract pieces. And kids are free. So now the art world, I think, realizes that you can you can paint, you can start abstractly. You don't have to be very controlled and rigid and draw things as they actually appear. But when I was doing some of these, I came across the calendar of some artwork done by the people of Guatemala. They use yarn paintings. And I did this piece to reflect the yarn paintings of Guatemalan art. I used pastel. They would use yarn. And I don't know if you're familiar with some of those, but they're very colorful. I call this man and woman arguing over religion. And then this is one that I did also. And it has a quality of, and again, I don't pretend to be anything like Miro, but it has a Miro-like quality. The lines are very, very clean, and there's a lot of movement in it, and it's very colorful, and it's very light, and brisk, and
This one,
and happy.
Good shot of it all.
yeah. You want me to take it off?
Yeah.
This is the one that I really enjoyed.
The glass on it's just not going to happen.
Black is so effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are matted and framed by Portfolio Framing in Scottsdale. He does a wonderful job. These are acid-free mats, and they're done behind plexiglass. And because most galleries now want plexiglass as opposed to glass. It's safer and it's lighter and so forth. It happens to be right here. So can you come in here? I want to talk about her art. She's a wonderful artist, and currently is using that art and applying it to a marketing company that she's starting up, which is very creative and uses her creative abilities daily. But her art, I wish I had some pictures of her art. They're really wonderful pieces, and in her own right, she's an artist. So she's a good example of my good teaching of her, I guess.
Well, when I was young, I think part of the thing that really helped me, that's important, and I think you probably bring to your students now, is that my parents used to tape paper down on the floor and give me free rein of all the art supplies. So I really was allowed to explore and do whatever I wanted, and I wasn't restricted by having to work in a certain space or not use those pastels because those were nice, and everything was available to me. And I think that sort of gave me the freedom to sort of just play and explore.
You were written up in a book. What was the title of the book? It was called.
It was sort of a longitudinal study of artistic development in children.
Children, yeah. And some of her work was in there, and it was really quite exciting to receive that copy and that affirmation that, yeah, here is a kid that really has demonstrated some unique abilities. And we all have unique abilities in art. It's not a matter of drawing a straight line. It's a matter of expressing yourself in color and line. And anyone can do it. And I encourage people to do it.
She's your best work of art.
What's that?
She's your best work of art.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she's my best work of art. From time to time you've seen some pottery that's part of this exhibit. It was created by Louisa Kingsdale, who is a young potter who has incredible talent, and she should be watched. And she will be doing some very nice pottery in the future, I'm sure. And these are wonderful pieces that she has exhibited here. So that's it. That's my art, my life today in art. And I think right now I've changed my direction from academia. I needed to validate myself somehow. And it's very hard to validate yourself in art in this society. So I got all the advanced degrees, and I did that, and I did postdoctoral work and stuff like that, and taught it at the prestigious places like Berkeley and Michigan State. And then I realized that that's really not me. That's the me, not me becoming me. And the me, not me becoming me is the art. And so, I wish now to simplify my life and just to work in art. And that's hopefully God will let me do that.
Amen. Give him a little applause there, ladies and gentlemen.